Terra 16 was not merely a colony. It was a statement. It was a monument to human vanity, carved from the silica sands of a barren world. 8 billion souls lived under the great atmospheric domes in a paradise of glass, gold, and artificial light. We built spire cities that pierced the clouds, a futuristic reflection of ancient Dubai, reaching for the stars in sheer, unadulterated arrogance. It was the wealthiest jewel in the Terran sphere, a place where the sun was filtered to a perfect golden hour, where children grew up never knowing the cold bite of winter, and never seeing the barrel of a weapon. The defense grid was minimal. After all, who would dare attack humanity after the display of the Titan dreadnoughts? We had silenced the Krivak. We had humbled the Aelari. We believed we were the apex predators of this galaxy. But the universe is old. It is vast. And in the deep, cold dark, there are things that do not care about our pride. They do not care about our treaties or our economy. They only care about our meat. It did not begin with a declaration of war. Hunger does not negotiate with the meal. The deep space sensors at the edge of the Oort cloud didn't pick up heat signatures. They didn't pick up warp drives or energy shields. They picked up decay. A massive cloud of debris, millions of kilometers wide, blocking out the starlight like a cancerous growth on the face of the void. Then the cloud solidified. They call it the Carrion Flotilla. But it was not a fleet of ships in any sense we understood. It was a moving graveyard. Amalgamations of hollowed-out asteroids, twisted metal from dead civilizations, and hull plates fused together by frozen biological sludge. Ships made of bleached bone, spinal columns of leviathans used as structural beams, and rusted iron, powered by engines that screamed across the psychic spectrum like dying animals. They didn't hail us. They didn't scan us. They simply opened their maws. The attack on Terra 16 was instant and catastrophic. The orbital defense platforms were not destroyed by laser fire. They were consumed. Swarms of biomechanical boarding pods, looking like maggots made of steel and gristle, latched onto our pristine stations. They chewed through the armor, venting the atmosphere, leaving nothing behind but silence. Then, the bombardment began. They did not use clean energy weapons. They launched kinetic spears made of compacted trash, disease, and heavy metals. The great glass spires of the capital city, mile-high towers of commerce and art, shattered like crystal under a hammer. In the first 5 minutes, the skyline of Terra 16, the pride of humanity, was decapitated. The planetary command center took a direct hit from a hollowed-out asteroid. The generals were silenced before they could even issue a fire order. The command network went dark. But the people were ready. The Terran protocol was absolute. As the sky fell, turning from azure blue to the color of ash, 8 billion people moved as one. The sirens wailed, a mournful song across the burning cities, and the population descended into the deep-crust bunkers. We saved the souls, but we could not save the city. For 20 minutes, Terra 16 burned. The enemy descended to the surface, not to conquer, not to occupy, but to feed. They began harvesting the water oceans, stripping the steel from the fallen towers, and collecting the biomass of our gardens. They were locusts made of iron. The distress signal had been screaming into the void for 20 minutes. The Terran vanguard was still 30 minutes away. Terra 16 was about to be stripped to the bone. But help came from the unlikeliest of places. From the trade lanes emerged a small fleet. Not human. The Aelari Remnant. The golden ships of the species we had humbled just a year ago. They were passing through, merchants and escorts, ferrying goods between sectors. They had no obligation to die for us. They owed us nothing but resentment. But the Aelari commander saw the Carrion Flotilla. He recognized the stench of an ancient enemy, a plague that had haunted their history books. The Aelari commander did not flee. He broadcasted no speech. He simply turned his elegant, solar-winged ships into a wall between the burning city and the monsters. It was a suicide run. The golden lances of the Aelari cut through the bone ships, burning them with the fury of a sun. Beams of pure light sliced through the rot, detonating the volatile engines of the scavenger fleet. But there were too many enemies. The Carrion ships didn't care about losses. They threw themselves at the Aelari like a tidal wave of trash. One by one, the beautiful golden ships were swarmed. They were torn apart, their crews screaming as the bioharvesters breached their hulls. The Aelari flagship, its solar wings shattered, rammed a massive bone cruiser, detonating its core in a blinding flash of defiance. They bought us 10 minutes. 10 minutes bought with alien blood. It was enough. The sky tore open. Space-time shattered as 5 Terran jump gates opened simultaneously in the upper atmosphere. Task Force Vanguard had arrived. Hundreds of missile destroyers poured out of the rift, their engines turning the night sky into day. The Carrion Flotilla, busy feeding on the Aelari wreckage, looked up. For the first time, the hunger paused. The human response was total. We did not use precision. We used saturation. Nuclear torpedoes, thousands of them, turned the upper atmosphere into a blinding sheet of fire. The bone ships burned. The biological sludge boiled. The sky became a cauldron of radioactive fire. But the enemy kept coming. They had no survival instinct. They rammed our destroyers. They fired pods of molecular acid that melted our armor plating like wax. The battle became a brawl in the mud, a meat grinder where technology met brute, desperate force. The Vanguard line was breaking. The destroyers were being overwhelmed by the sheer mass of the dead fleet. It seemed that Terra 16 would fall. Then the heavy thunder rolled. The fabric of reality groaned under a massive weight. The main Terran fleet arrived. 10 Titan-class cruisers, the sisters of the Atlas, dropped out of warp directly into the combat zone. These were not ships. They were floating cities of guns. Their main rail guns, weapons capable of cracking moons, spoke in a rhythm of death. Thum, thum, thum. Each shot was a verdict. Each tungsten slug, moving at a fraction of the speed of light, vaporized a Carrion mothership instantly. The sheer kinetic energy turned their bone hulls into dust. The shock waves cleared the atmosphere. And then the enemy stopped. Not because they were beaten strategically, but because they were terrified. The Carrion Flotilla turned. They didn't retreat tactically. They rooted. They abandoned their harvest, abandoned their own wounded, and fled back into the dark at maximum burn. We cheered. We watched them run, and we cheered. We thought they were running from us. We thought our Titans had scared them. We were wrong. In the aftermath, amidst the ruins of the burning paradise, Terran Marines boarded one of the disabled Carrion ships drifting in orbit. The interior was a nightmare. Walls made of fused flesh, corridors pulsing with strange fluids. They found no crew, only biological processors, brains of 1,000 species wired together to fly the ship. And in the center, they found the navigational logs. Our scientists decoded the data. It wasn't a war plan. It was a flight path. The Carrion Flotilla has been running for 1,000 years. They didn't attack Terra 16 to conquer it. They attacked it to refuel. They are desperate. They are starving. And the most chilling discovery? The data showed what they are running from. A series of images taken from the rear sensors of the flotilla just 2 days ago. Stars going out. Not one, not two. Entire constellations, vanishing into a perfect unnatural blackness. The Pale Kings are not just coming. They are already here. They are right behind the flotilla, herding them like wolves herding sheep. We didn't win a battle today. We just shot a refugee who was trying to break into our bunker to hide. As the smoke clears over Terra 16, a cold realization settles over the Terran High Command. The fire is coming, and we just used all our water to wash the blood off our hands.